We're gonna fix this KitchenAid mixer. When we plug it into live power, nothing we do will get it to run. This one was purchased broken. Remove the screw on the back. Remove the rear casting. Immediately I can see that the speed control board is completely broken. In the back of this board there's a switch that has to be closed in order for everything to run. I'll remove this board with these two screws. One screw here and the broken one. At the bottom is this switch that has to be closed in order for it to work. I'll make sure it's closed with a copper washer. Jam the washer in there nice and tight. I'll plug it back in. Absolutely nothing. And if I move this, the copper washer will come out, so I'm just gonna leave it. I'll unplug it again. We'll go to the brushes next, because if someone took this apart, it's really easy to put this thing back together wrong. We'll pull this out. See how it's not square? It's got a little bit of a cutoff on one side, and if you put this in wrong, it's not gonna make contact. We have to look deep in that hole to see the polarity. It's really hard to see, but I can see that that brush was in there wrong. If we take a look in there, you can see that little brass piece up there. That is gonna restrict the brush from going in. So on this side, you can see the brass. On this side, you can't. Now that we saw that piece of brass, we know it's got to go in like this so it doesn't contact that piece of brass and goes past it. We'll push the brush back into place and screw it back in with the plastic piece. With the washer, making sure that the switch is closed and this brush going the correct direction, we'll try it. And there we go. Run, so now we know we have some of the problem fixed, but we need to fix the back. Everything unplugged, we'll remove this washer. We're gonna attempt to fix the board before we just replace it, because why pay any money if you don't have to? We'll clean it up with some rubbing alcohol. We'll mix up some epoxy glue. We'll use a piece of wax paper so it doesn't stick to the board. Place glue on the wax paper. Place it into the corner to rebuild. We'll build it up nice and thick. Not the prettiest, but we've got the corner rebuilt. I'll reset the springs. We'll adjust the screws. We'll push the plastic wedge all the way through so we have some control. We'll apply voltage. Moving everything back and forth, but still intermittent. On the other side of the switch, I'm taking a screwdriver and just massaging it down to get more pressure on that switch. When I go to 6, the switch pops off, which it should pop off here, not at 6, so it still needs adjustment. Switch it here, I'll show you what happens over here. You can see the switch goes up when I get it on 6, and it should be further back. When I adjust the screw, you can hear the RPM go up. I'll move them out equally. You can hear the RPMs going up. The center portion here, as it flexes in and out, you can see if I touch it, it's very sensitive because this will vary the speed, and you use these 3 screws to adjust everything. On the shaft, you can see when I turn it on, the clutch will move in and out, kind of like a little bit of a flywheel. It just expands and contracts. Before you touch any of this stuff, it could be live on power, so you want to make sure everything's unplugged every time you go in here to touch something. Another thing that I can see that's wrong on this is there's no spring that pulls this in. This has got to be pulled in by a spring, and there's no spring in there. The spring is completely gone. If we look deep inside here, I can see the spring right back here, so I'll grab it and bring it forward. I'll grab a hook and pull the spring all the way forward and put it right in here. Now we've got that hook in there, so the whole plate is pushed forward by the spring. To start the adjustment, we'll turn this to stir, and you can see nothing is happening. Move the screws in until you start to hear movement on the motor. Bring them in equally, and there we go, it starts. It should do 1 revolution per second, so if I count to 10, it should hit my hand 10 times. Or you could use a clock. When you move it to 6, it should do 30 times in 10 seconds. Put everything back together. We'll put the plug in first. Put the metal case back in place. Now we've got a mixer that didn't work, works.